Hey everyone, it's your Peacekeeper, and it's time for the next video in our How to Play series on the Russian destroyer line. This is the Tier 3 Derzki class of destroyers, or, well, maybe Wargaming is getting a little creative here. By creative, what I'm really getting at is, this could also be known as the Bespokony class destroyers. This was a class of 9 destroyers built in 1913 that served until 1941, in which Bespokony was actually the first ship launched out of the series. It tied with a ship named Nevny, which not to be confused with the Nevny in the game. But Derzki actually launched about 5 months later. So... whichever one we call it, there's not a whole lot of history to cover on this because, quite honestly, there's not a whole lot of English sources for information on Derzki. Basically, what Wikipedia says is that these ships primarily served in the Black Sea Fleet during World War I. They were based heavily upon the preceding destroyer Novik, which is not to be confused with the Novik that is in the game, which is a cruiser. They were slightly smaller, but they were extremely popular ships because they basically controlled the Black Sea without any real rival, because the Ottoman Navy from the Ottoman Empire during World War I really didn't have any destroyers that were comparable. Now, Wargaming goes on to state further that this class had so many torpedoes that it went unrivaled in terms of its torpedo capabilities all the way up until, well, until more modern ships were eventually launched. So that's kind of the history. I don't have any specifics on, service history beyond the fact that of the 9 that were completed, 3 were lost. Those 3 ships, they were all 3 scuttled. And only one of them was actually raised and then would be sunk by Stuka dive bombers in 1941. So it looks like really only one of them served into World War II. That's going to be Bystry, which was renamed to Frunz. I'm assuming that's how you say that. Don't quote me on that. My Russian is worse than my German, so if you've suffered through my German, yeah, Russian's going to be fun and interesting too. Just as a random side note, Derzki, according to Wikipedia, means impertinent, which basically is rude. I have it on good sources from somebody who actually speaks Russian that it's more appropriate to say ballsy, meaning very aggressive and not really afraid to show it. Anyway, let's go dive into some stats before we start talking about the in-game playstyle and all of that. In terms of hit points, the ship has 9,700 hit points. No armor because it's a destroyer. Main battery consists of 3 4-inch guns. They have a 10.3 kilometer firing range, reload time of 4.5 seconds, and they do have an 8% fire chance. That's going to be with flags thrown on board. If I can click on the right one. So yes, we got flags on board. So you can take off 2% for that. 6 total percent there. Does have torpedoes, 10 of them in 5 dual launchers. Very versatile setup. The only downside to Derzki's torpedo setup is they are going to continue the tradition of only being 4 kilometers in range, and they only have a 51 knot speed, which is kind of slow, actually, especially for this tier. But at 4K, it's going to be very hard to actually miss with these things. You're pretty much guaranteed to hit with at least a couple of them, and with how versatile the torpedo layout is, you can put torpedoes so you can't miss with them. In terms of damage, though, those torpedoes are still relatively weak with only 6,167 damage, but look at that reload time, 22 seconds. And this is going to go into that in-game play style, and I know it drew some criticism when we were talking about the preceding Storozhevoi class and how it was a torpedo ship. Well, at these lower tiers, I find the torpedoes to be far more reliable than the guns are for doing damage. No surprise, Derzki continues that tradition. In terms of anti-aircraft defense, it does have 2 7.62 millimeter Maxim machine guns. Let's look at these babies. Yeah! Not going to be doing a whole lot of damage with those. 4 DPS at 1 kilometer in range. Not exactly earth-shattering there. Max speed of 34 knots, that's without the speed flag. 510 meter turning circle radius, 2.6 second rudder shift time. Detection range by sea of 5.9 kilometers. Detection range by air of 2.9 kilometers. In terms of upgrades, coming over here, main armaments mod 1 is still going to be my recommendation to reduce the chances of your main battery and torpedo tubes becoming incapacitated, increase their hit points, as well as decrease the time it takes to repair them if they do get incapacitated. These other options, at this point, really don't have a whole lot of use, especially if you're running detonation flags. Magazine mod 1 would be, I could see that one if you have a real big problem with getting detonated, at which point you should have a lot of flags, so maybe not. But I personally run main armaments mod 1. In the second slot, propulsion systems mod 1, in my opinion, is the far more important of these two, reducing that chance of your engine becoming incapacitated by 20%, as well as decreasing the time it takes to repair it by 20%, is very important to ship survivability. Now, I understand there's going to be those who are going to say, well, I don't want my rudder to get taken out, so I want steering gears mod 1. Well, as I've said before in the past, personally, I find losing my propulsion to be far more of a death sentence than losing my steering gears, especially on destroyers in which we're going to be running last stand. I can always steer with that, but it takes forever to get away, crawling away on damaged engines with last stand. So I'd rather just not lose the engines altogether, and the rudder, well, we can deal with that. So that's my recommendation for this second slot. So how does the ship play in-game then? Well, for her tier, she's fast and maneuverable, which is nice. She's also relatively stealthy with that 5.9 kilometer detection range, which is better than a lot of other destroyers at this tier. And she really kind of needs it too to get in to use those 4K torps. Islands are still going to be your friend in the ship, as well as smoke. She does have a lot of torpedoes, and as I already kind of hinted, the ship still retains what I'm going to call a torpedo-centric playstyle. It's a different torpedo-centric playstyle than the Japanese Navy is, which is kind of the stealth one. The Derzki is kind of that YOLO, you only live one style of torpedo ship, where basically you charge at unsuspecting battleships, unleash your load, pop smoke, shoot at things while you're waiting for your torpedoes to come up, and then engage your next target with torpedoes. It's a very, very fun play style. I do enjoy Derzki quite a lot for that. And she also actually has pretty good survivability. She's second best in her tier. She only trails behind the German G101 by 1,300 hit points, but bests everything else by pretty much that same margin. So she is pretty durable with regards to overall hit point pool, and that really helps her out a lot. Let's go ahead and let's see this in action in a battle video. Alright, so this battle is going to be a tier 4 fight, and there are carriers involved, so that means this is a legitimate battle for a destroyer. That's just it's a joke. I say that's a joke, but there's a lot of people that actually believe that no destroyer game is a legit destroyer game unless there's a carrier in the match. Well, there's a carrier involved in this match. The map is straight. This map is, actually, this map has grown on me quite a lot, actually. There's enough opportunity here for a good engagement without the campiness that we normally see. And I think a large part of that has to do with this map is primarily a lower tier map, which definitely helps out a lot. I think tier 6, maybe 7 is the last time you'll see straight as a map. And that really, really helps out because this map can get quite campy with... Can you imagine a tier 9 or 10 match in this? Maybe not because you're watching this video, but at tier 8, 9, and 10, things get a little campy and it gets really annoying waiting for ships to actually engage. And this map is just way too open. So right off the bat here, I'm getting asked if I want to go and cap A. Initially, and with this ship, A probably wouldn't have been my first choice, but because somebody is offering to support, by all means I will. And we've popped our speed boost to get over there just a little bit quicker so that we can get involved. Now remember, the ship's going to be relying predominantly on torpedoes. They have a 4K range. That's not to say that the guns aren't there and can't be used. You definitely have to use them. But it just means that the majority of your damage in a match is going to come from those torpedoes. And on a big open area like at A, it's very hard to land consistent torpedo hits with only 4 kilometers of range, when the first thing that happens when you get spotted is basically everyone asks you to die and shoots at you. So it's a little difficult at times in open areas to do this. Thankfully, there's this convenient island, and yeah. So that's where we're going for right now. And look at this, we're already spotted by a Campbelltown. Well, Mr. Campbelltown, if you're going to sit in that smoke, then by all means, I will, somebody smacked him hard. Holy buckets. So we've gone ahead and we've engaged him here with our guns, and he managed to get away. So what I'm going to try and do here is I'm going to try and get close enough to utilize those torpedoes on this Campbelltown. That's going to require me to get plenty close to where he's at. And unfortunately, he can spot me, but I can't spot him. So now we've got this big old island between us and, well, pretty much everything on their team. So it's going to be tactical beaching, popping smoke, and shooting those guns. Wow, that was actually a pretty good salvo, 1,400 damage. Those torpedoes are running hot, straight, and normal, which is a good thing. And maybe we can get lucky here. Maybe we'll get ourselves a torpedo hit. Nope, doesn't look like it. Well, whatever. We're still capping the point, which is good news. We've got, torpedoes launched over there. Wonder where that other set of torpedoes... we got a fire on our Wyoming. That'll help rack up some damage, assuming you didn't... you repaired it right away. Well, we're going to get the cap on this. So area is capped. Now we just need to start this guy on fire. Only doing 248 damage in a salvo when we get penetrating hits. It's not a whole lot. And you can see my kind of... I don't want to call it frustration, but that's really what it is. Not getting a whole lot of damage here with HE. Now, one thing I didn't try was AP, but being as it's a 4-inch gun, my guess is there's probably not a lot in the way of AP damage that's going to be, dealt. Now, this is my fault. This is a mistake made, and thought I might be able to get away from it, but nope. So we ate a torpedo, thankfully at the low tiers. Torpedoes are non-damming events. We're going to panic launch torpedoes over in that direction. Maybe get lucky with this, actually, and get them. I know they're not in the cap. It really was a wasted spot, but you never know. Sometimes you'll get lucky and catch a destroyer or something coming around an island. But look at what we've got coming through. We got ourselves a St. Louis, which we are going to promptly deploy our torpedoes on. All 10 of them. Launch! Got to be careful when we're backing up. We definitely don't want to get involved with anything behind us, but by the same time, we don't want to get involved with this St. Louis either. Yep, that's death. Bye-bye. Well, at least we hope it's death. Oh! What? 2,000 hit points. Oh my goodness. Well, we're going to have to bail out of here because this St. Louis is still capable of killing us. We definitely don't want to be present when he does. Look at what's decided to come around the corner, though. Hey, buddy. Enjoy 10 torpedoes. Oh, that's rough. Surprise! We got ourselves a destroyer, and we're up to 31,890 damage. That was a pretty impressive little attack there. I don't think he quite was paying attention to his mini-map, because had he been paying attention, he probably wouldn't have jumped around the edge of the map there. Or maybe he thought my torpedoes were down. I don't know. Either way, we're going to pop smoke here. We're going to try and see if we can't get this Wyoming with a set of torpedoes. You can see he's at 3.9k. My hope is that he continues on his path and stays within range of those torpedoes. Oh, getting kind of hairy there. We got ourselves a deployment of our smoke. That's going to help keep us concealed, but we don't want to make the same mistake we made last time. Unfortunately, I think the Wyoming's turning away, so that's not good. All right, well, what about the Ishizuchi? Well, the Zucchini here looks like he's presenting a pretty good needed about another 1K in torpedoes, and then I probably would have managed to get that Wyoming with another torpedo and, you know, get a kill. Look at these torpedoes, though. Boom! Whoa! 9 torpedoes. I missed with 1 torpedo somehow. Oh, friendly torpedoes coming from behind. No such thing as a friendly torpedo, Mr. Kuma. Yikes. Alright, well, so now that we're up to 59,000... see, there's that torpedo that I thought was going... Those are the torpedoes that I thought were coming in. That's my, it's my 6th sense kicking in. I don't know what that Kuma was launching torpedoes at, but it sure as heck wasn't anything good. He must have launched them at the indicator, thinking that the Ishizuchi was somehow going to make it through 9 torpedo hits. Well, from here, you know, we're kind of at a limit on what we can really engage. We've managed to pretty much steamroll their team. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to see if we can't assist in the sinking of this Campbelltown, since it's really about the only thing that's in our range. I want to make sure, though, that when we do this, we are close to hard cover to kind of obscure us a bit with regards to that Wyoming, especially while we were waiting the 54 seconds for our smoke to come back up. I would love for this Campbelltown to just die and go away. That sounds really rude and all that, but in reality, he's really holding me back from sinking this Wyoming, and that's kind of annoying. Actually, that's more than kind of annoying. That's really annoying. It is what it is. We're going to also jump into A and see if we can't assist. I would like to get over to Mr. Ishizuchi here and see if I can't lay some smoke for him. Since we got about 25 seconds, I don't want him to get taken out by that Campbelltown. He's up here kind of by himself. Ooh, torpedoes incoming from the Campbelltown. There's the Campbelltown. He popped back up again. We definitely want to make sure he gets some cover, because the Ishizuchi, as good as a ship as that is and as solid and well-rounded as she is, her biggest problem is definitely that she's not nearly as durable as other Tier 4 battleships are. And as you can see there, he took 2 torpedoes and it nearly took off half his hit point pool. So we are going to deploy smoke to try and obscure him. Now, Ishizuchi is just plenty quick, so laying a smoke screen for him is a bit difficult. I don't know if he's turning for the sake of turning, or if he's trying to avoid getting in a engagement with me. I don't know. But we are going to go ahead and we're going to try and slow down here. See if we can't back up into our smoke, maybe. The Ishizuchi doesn't come to a stop. Keeps on going through, but it definitely takes some of the heat off of him to distract Mr. Wyoming further. And that's going to help him stay alive, hopefully just a little bit longer. Now, we got incoming aircraft. That's definitely not going to help in the living department for Mr. Ishizuchi. Plus, he's broadside to a battleship. That's a Padlin. And, ooh, manages to actually escape the unfortunate fate. But looks like he's got... fire. Looks like he's got himself in a bit of a pickle with regards to the incoming aircraft. And hopefully he survives. Ooh, looks like he did. Come on, Wyoming, sink. Come on. Give me the kill. Give me the kill. No damage. Well, he gets taken out, but we managed to secure the victory anyway. So 60,647 damage, only 1 kill, but 15 torpedo hits, and I can guarantee you the vast majority of that was in torpedoes. 1,443 XP, and there's the 49,432 damage in just torpedo hits. Only 10,000 in guns and fire combined. Anyway, that's Derzki. I do actually enjoy Derzki, but I'm not a big fan of Tier 3. It's in a really awkward position, so I won't keep Derzki around, but it's not a bad ship to grind through. Anyway, I'm your Peacekeeper. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching.